ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਸੱਦੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੌਨ ਰਸਟੈਡ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ BC ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਨੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ, ਤੇ BC ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਪਾਈਪਲਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਬਤ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਨੇ। ਆਓ ਫਿਰ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰੀਏ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਰਸਟੈਡ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਸਵਿਫਟ ਰੇਡੀਓ।
Good morning, and thank you for having me on this morning.
So our question for you today is what are your thoughts about Alberta and BC pipeline? Because it's seems like a question of the year, or maybe a couple of years.
Well, it's moving oil in Canada has always been very controversial, but with what's going on south of the border with Trump, we need to get our oil to international markets. Today, we are giving our oil to the Americans at a 20 to 30% discount. It's equivalent of $50 million every single day that we are just giving to the Americans because we can't get our oil to market. And so there's a proposal to move oil that is being worked on between Alberta and the federal government through to our north coast. I think British Columbia should actually partake in that. We should try to work out an arrangement to make sure that British Columbia gets a benefit from this, besides just the jobs and revenue that comes from it. But I think we should be there supporting it. This is a nation-building project. It's going to help to unify this country. And after all, British Columbia's coast isn't just British Columbia's; it's Canada's coast. It is the gateway to Asia. And it's the opportunity for the rest of the country to be able to also market their goods out to the Pacific Rim.
Our expert Jenny Simsri is here as well, and she has a couple of questions for you.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
My question is, when we signed the NAFTA agreement, when Canada signed the NAFTA agreement, we saw a lot of our raw materials just being shipped overseas for processing, and we lost all the value-added jobs. And I don't think there is anybody who disagrees. Well, there may be some. Most of us know that we've got to use our resources. What are your thoughts on building refineries so that we are not shipping dirty oil overseas, bitumen, and then buying back oil for our gas and for other products, for our cars?
No, you're absolutely right in terms of having this conversation. We only refine about 40% of the fuels that we use in British Columbia. We're very reliant on actually refined product from the Americans. We get probably 10% or so of our refined product from Alberta, but the vast majority comes from the United States. And so we're shipping our oil down to Vancouver by pipe. We're then shipping it, by train across the border. They're refining it and then shipping it back to us. And we also have probably about 250 tankers every year that are moving from Alaska down to Washington State, and product is being refined once again and then brought over to British Columbia. So we have a serious problem. We are very vulnerable. Enough refining capacity, and so we actually should have this conversation. And one of the things that, if we had a government that actually wanted to get to the table, that we should try to negotiate is, if you're putting a large pipeline through to the coast, we should be trying to negotiate to hive off a component or a portion of the oil being shipped to at a discounted rate to be able to support a new refining capacity in British Columbia.
I think when Canadians look at what's under our earth, right here, our resources, what comes to their mind are truckloads of logs going south of border and coming back as 2x4s, and we're having to pay more. And now the tariff war has alerted us. Why are we not getting those value-added jobs and making a direct benefit for our citizens here? So what would it take to build more refineries right here in Canada?
And it's not just more refining capacity of our oil, but it takes the political will. Obviously, you have to create the environment to be able to do that. But like I say, it's not just refining capacity for oil, but what about smelters? We have 17 mines that are on the verge of being able to go forward in BC if they can ever get through the permitting process. A lot of that is copper. We could very easily have a copper smelter in British Columbia. as opposed to having to ship those resources overseas. And similarly, you mentioned, logs being exported. We've got an environment in British Columbia, a policy environment in British Columbia, was actually penalizes utilizing more of the fiber as opposed to actually encouraging utilizing more of the fiber and getting those secondary manufacturers. So there's a lot of changes that are needed within government to make sure that we can look at those value-added type of opportunities for British Columbia.
Thank you, John, and really appreciate you giving us the time today.
My pleasure. Thank you once again for having me on.
Thank you.